Okay, today we're gabbing with Mikayla and Jen, two stars of Hulu's excellent new series, The Secret Lives of Mormon Wives. I binged the show in less than 24 hours, you two.
Oh
So
my God.
I, uh, I just sort of like took it all in. I think it's a great show. So how are you feeling? How are you feeling with this almost out in the world?
I just want to watch it. I'm so
Yes,
jealous that everyone's like, I've watched it and I saw this and this, and I really want to see it. I'm
You're
down.
jealous.
oh,
Yeah.
just going off of the trailer though, I think we have very mixed emotions. Some days we're
Yeah.
like, we're doing this. This is so fun. Other days we're like, oh my gosh,
I'm
like
ruined.
our religion's gonna hate us. Like, we have, yeah. So it just depends on the day.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like that tension of like, for your faith and being members of the church and some of the different expectations that come with that, and sort of pushing up against some of those expectations. And because I feel like this group makes a little bit more of like modern decisions sometimes that probably people don't approve of. And I'm assuming that opening your lives up on camera for a show like this is one of those decisions that's controversial. What went into deciding to join a show like this for both of you?
Yeah, I think everyone has had their own personal reasons going into it, whether that's religion or their own personal um just trauma or stories that they wanted to relate to people. I feel like our show, I mean, I hope is very big on women empowerment, women in business, but also moms and religion kind of trickled in there and swinging trickled in there and crazy scandals. But yeah, I think we all just wanted to do the show to like, I want people to relate to us, and I want
Yeah.
moms to get it and feel like they have a community. I feel like being a mom is so isolating times, and I want people to watch us and feel like they have a friend in us or feel like they have a community and can relate to us. So yeah.
For sure. Yeah, for me, even just starting social media, my ultimate goal was to just be able to share my story. And through that, I was also hoping to just connect and resonate with a lot of other women because I think being a mom, you yearn for that. You want to be able to connect. And sometimes it's hard when you're just taking care of kids and cleaning the house and doing all the mom duties. And so yeah, being on the show took it to a whole other level because religion's involved. That's a huge thing. Our relationships are involved. Just a lot of hot topics are involved, gender roles and what that looks like.
Hmm.
So
Really uncomfortable, non-traditional. I feel like our show is very, it's just the new generation. I feel like we're talking about things that older generations feel uncomfortable talking about, whether that's just
Right.
in or just in the church. Like I feel like the topic of sex is very like taboo
Taboo.
in the
yeah,
church for
yeah,
sure.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah,
That's like
and I think that I mean, like I'm somebody who didn't grow up around Mormonism, and so like I think watching it, it's sort of like a lot of those tensions are so clear to me, and I think it's really cool that you all generally as a group, I think to various levels, are sort of pushing against some of those taboos. I think that's a cool thing to see, I think, but it's also a very real thing to be watching and seeing you all grapple with, you know?
For
yes, I think
sure.
it definitely puts us in a comfortable situation with our families or religion or just our community here in Utah. It's definitely going to get harder before it gets better, but I hope it does spark a little bit of conversation and a little bit of change.
Yeah,
It will.
definitely think it's been a little bit uncomfortable for us, but you can't. Growth and change can't happen without being uncomfortable and without being brave. And I think all of us are brave enough to
To put ourselves in that
and
position.
share our stories and
Right.
talk.
Right. So you mentioned the trailer earlier, which I told the other group this. I think it's a work of art. I think it was like the trailer did what it needed to do, but it leads with some of the more scandalous stuff that have been attached to the Mom Talk group. And I'm just curious for you too, what was it like sort of being tangentially connected to some of these bigger things? I mean, particularly that she was going through sort of as the show is beginning to film. What was that experience like for both of you?
Really?
Well,
No. We're like, actually, we gotta go. Just kidding. No, I don't know. I feel like we're in a pretty similar place where it's like if we know we're not involved or our family doesn't, that's what's the
yeah,
most important is if I know who I am, my family, my close family knows who I am, my kids, my husband, that's all that matters to me. And I think like obviously, yes, get your bag, get the scandal out there, we're trying to get eyes on this. And there is such a deeper just more depth to the show than what's in the trailer, but there is
hmm
what's in the trailer is definitely going to be sprinkled in the show, so it's still going to be very interesting and engaging. But yeah, I think it did a great job at really capturing the attention and getting people talking.
Very much so. Yeah. There's also an 11-month time jump between the first and second episodes. And, Taylor in particular, who is, I feel like in that first episode and the second episode, it almost feels like watching two different people sometimes, in terms of how much change that she went through. What was it like being her friend and through all of that and watching that transformation?
Yeah, so I filmed with her in the first pilot. And yeah, it's just so different. I feel like she's been able to process her emotions. I feel like that first clip, I feel like she's like, well, I don't, she just was emotionally checked out. And there was just so much happening at one time that she couldn't fully process. And then she got to a point where she just emotionally checked out and she just didn't care to process it because she didn't know how to. And she lost so many friendships. She lost, her marriage. And so she was going through so much. And then it's all happening publicly. So it's hard.
Right.
It's easy as an outsider to look in and judge a situation, but also I don't know what I would have done if I was put in that position. So we try to be there for her as much as we could. I feel like it was a little frustrating because we're giving her advice and she's going against all the advice that's given, but that's just a part of growing. I feel like very stubborn and she wants to do what she wants to do. And so at the end of the day, we just have to be there as women and as her friend to just support her in whatever decisions and mistakes that she makes.
Yeah. For me, I didn't meet her till the aftermath of everything, when she was going through her healing process and whatnot. And for me, it was honestly very just inspiring to see because, being an outsider and viewing her as just like one of her followers, I'll be honest, and also being a member of the church, like I did, not judge her, but I was very much like, oh, like, is she doing the best thing for her family and for her, her life, her kids and whatnot. And being able to see how much she's progressed has been amazing. And I think it's so empowering and it's going to inspire so many people. And you know what? She's still a member of the church. And hey, if she can show up to church and with everything that she's gone through, anyone can show up to church. And it just says a lot about her.
For sure. For sure. There's a lot of strength there. We have time for one more question. And, there's a lot of different divisions that happen, I think, throughout filming in this group. And one of the first divisions happens, Jen, after you have an event and don't invite some of the people. And I understand that decision, but it creates some divide in the group. Another thing happens later where Whitney sort of removes herself from everybody, and that sort of changes up the dynamic a lot. So now, where do you stand within the Mom Talk group? Is it a united front? Are there still some fractures in there?
You know what? I definitely think that some people aren't friends, which you'll have to wait for season 2. But for the most part, I think a lot of us are united. And
Good.
yeah, I would say personally, I am in a good place with everybody, but we'll see. We haven't seen season 1. We don't know what's been said behind closed doors.
There might be some fractures coming.
I'm sure. Mikayla, what about for you? Do you feel the same way?
Yeah, I think we have a joint agreement with one person that's kind of isolated themselves and kind of hurt every relationship or person and has to take accountability. And maybe it doesn't seem like they're ready to take accountability right now, or they're just gonna move on and act like it didn't happen and expect everyone else to move on. But that's just not the case. I feel like everyone's waiting for accountability to be taken and apologies to happen. So I guess we'll have to see season 2 if we ever get that. But as of now, I'm like, I'm protecting my peace. I'm going through too much with my health that I'm like, I don't have time. I got to keep my in a good place.
I think one thing you can say about reality TV is that it can be a mirror for one's own, maybe like quote unquote worst qualities and things that they can change. And, I've heard that from a lot of people that I've interviewed over the years. And I think that's kind of in some ways, a big positive. So I guess we'll see, but I'm crossing my fingers for season 2, you too. I think it's an amazing show. And I really appreciate your time today.
Thank you so much.
Thanks so much.
I want to gab.